What's up, StaleMates? We have an icon in the building today. New Jersey icon, Anthony Ashnault. What's going on, man?
What's good? I appreciate that. Means a lot coming from a guy putting on a show, treating me like an icon. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I call you an icon because I feel like you're the first wave of this New Jersey Rutgers wave. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of people that laid the tracks, I guess you could say, before me. But yeah, definitely one of my goals was to come to Rutgers and to make an everlasting impression on the university and to have New Jersey wrestlers not just look up to me, but want to come do the same thing, and if not more, want kids to come be NCAA champs and multiple time champions, all Americans for Rutgers, Olympic champions. So that was the goal, and I feel like we got a lot of momentum. And I mean, just coming from practice, I was just telling you, I'm just coming from practice. Like we got Sebastian Rivera, Nick Soriano in there, Sammy Alvarez. Like we got so many more hammers than I guess around my time, and I'm looking at this thing, hammers, baby. That's what we're about.
Let's
Rutgers
go.
Hammers. We got our, you know, we
Yeah.
got it all. We got everything logoed out and stuff and branded. But yeah, we're excited, and we're just trying to keep that momentum going. And like I said, have more national champs, more Olympic champions.
Let's start off with okay. I'm glad you said the word branded. Branded. I think you really helped start the brand, the Rutgers brand, the Schnalte be Mobbin, all that kind of Jersey attitude with Rutgers, and then you got Soriano kind of in that same brand, and Rivera as well. Was that intentional, or is that just Jersey?
I think it's just Jersey, man. It's like coming from a small town. It's like I just honestly represented what I'm passionate about most of my life, and just going through college, and I'd say we're similar ages. How old are you, man?
I'm 25.
Yeah, I'm 25. I just turned 25 this summer, and like being 25 when you go through college or just 18 years old to like that 25-year-old range, you go through a lot of learning experiences and things where maybe you haven't experienced and it means a lot to you, and you like learn a lot and you want to move in that kind of direction. And for me, that brand Mobbin just came naturally from just competing how I like to compete passionately. And then
Yeah.
from there, I saw all the support, and it was just natural. I was like, dang, like I could take off with this thing. And at first it was just like trial and error. It's like, oh, let's see if people like will respond to this. And then it kind of takes off. I'm sure your podcast show and things you're doing kind of worked the same way. You were interested in it, had a passion for it, and then all of a sudden the passion starts leading to a really detailed plan down the line. But yeah, at first it was just kind of natural, and now at this point, it's a little bit more planned, and it's how can I make an impact at the same time as being authentic and not over the top. And it's a difficult fine line, and there's a lot of anxiety and stress on my end involved, but it's like a constant balance of what's the main goal. Wrestling's the main goal, but this definitely supplements it. And this, I enjoy a lot of the stuff I'm doing, which is important to me. I have a lot of free time when I'm only an athlete and I'm not a coach right now. I have a lot of free time, and this is something that I'm passionate about that fills that time up. And I think it keeps me getting better with the main goal of being a better wrestler.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite Ashnault moments was the Princeton duel, where um, I don't want to misquote anybody, but somebody said you weren't going to score a lot of points. You put 10 on the board. You
Yeah.
look over to the corner and you say 10. You're still on top of the guy. The period's getting ready to end, and you hold up 10 fingers. Was that calculated, or is that just one of those passionate moments like I wanted to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not calculated at all. And man, I've heard people say, like, yeah, of course my celebrations like thought about and measured and calculated, and like none of my celebrations have been thought about, calculated. It's more just in the moment. But at the same time, growing up in South Plainfield, New Jersey, just a normal town, a blue collar town, me and my friends, the way we played Pop Warner football, pickup football, pick 2-on-2 tournaments in basketball or wiffle ball, like we were bragging. We were like in each other's faces. Like you make a basket or you hit a home run, you're like running around the bases, like, yeah, what's good, bro? Like, give me that crap again. I'll hit it out of the park. Like, like joking around though, and being like, of course, we all were humble and we were raised to be humble, but um, when it was competition time, it wasn't time to show off, but it was time to like let that inner passion out and have a chance for us. I feel like I'm an artist in wrestling, and that's my outlet to be an artist. And I just kind of try to let that shine. I try not to hold back if anything comes, and I just let those emotions take over. But at the same time, I try to be respectful. And there's times maybe I crossed the line. I got a team point for shooting down the Oklahoma State kid, and that was probably
Hey,
crossing the line. But that was another one. It was just kind of like in the moment. It was like they're the Cowboys. I just beat a Cowboy. Like let's shoot them down.
I don't think that's
Um,
crossing the line at all. I think you should do that every time you wrestle a cowboy.
yeah, I need to get Dean Howell back, man. He's gotten me a couple times. I'd like to get that one back, but he's like a Navy guy now. I don't even know if it makes sense, but I'll shoot him down if I get that one.
Let's go. I like it. I love that. I love the shoot him down, like the putting the guns back in the holsters. David Carr did that this year at
Yeah,
the Big 12, so that's one of my favorites. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so
But man, I'm a fan of your show as well, man. I've been listening to a couple of them, and I like the passion you bring, man. And just it's important for the sport. You're detailing some of the like the Willie trials and different things that you know every wrestling fan loves to see all this stuff. And even going back 15 years ago, I would like to look at intermat.wrestle.com and the openmat.com, and I would get the Win magazine when I was in high school, and I loved looking at all those things. And now fast forward to 2020, it's like you don't even have to go to those things. You could just go on Twitter and
right.
see like things like yourself and other talk shows and ROKFIN and all these websites. And no, I appreciate it as a fan, not only as an athlete, because I'm also a fan of this sport and I
Yeah.
like the gossip. And you know, your show and your platform makes it really easy to consume, and you break it down really well. So I appreciate that, man.
No, I appreciate that compliment. For me, it was one of those things where I'm a fan first. Like, I was not a good wrestler, but I was a fan. I loved it. And everybody tries to act like they're on this high horse where, oh, I don't care about the gossip and stuff, which some people might not, but there's a lot of people who do, right? And so,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
even in the NFL, me and Pat Minio talk about this. Is like in the NFL, there's so many shows on the NFL Network and everything else called like the rumor reports and like the drama that goes behind the scenes. And wrestling is kind of the sport that I don't want to say it's on a high horse or anything like that, but it's very traditional and it kind of shuns some of that. Where there's a large portion of the wrestling fans who love that. That's why I think
yeah,
like a Rutgers thrives or a Iowa Hawkeyes thrives because there's so much character involved, right? Like you
yeah.
guys have a
You're
lot of
you
character.
should
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree, man. You should be able to express yourself. And I know exactly what you're saying. I was saying maybe it crossed the line. Like, yeah, I don't think the guns thing would cross the line. Like, no one in my family did like was mad at me for doing that. Like my dad was pumped. Like my mom was like, yeah, like awesome. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like did you get in trouble for getting a team point? Was Goody mad? Like almost like asking like a friend. But they want like my parents raised me to be passionate and
Right.
to show that character, but they also raised me to be humble off the mat. So it's like you could do those things, but you also could be a good person. Just because I celebrate and I'm doing things doesn't mean that I'm a cocky guy and I'm going to brag, or I'm like this crazy person, or I'm doing those things all the time. I'm walking in the supermarket, papa. Like it doesn't mean that, It's just like I'm passionate in the moment, and when that moment's over, I'm still the same Anthony Ashnault person, and that's why I created the Mobbin thing and took off with it, because it allows me to be that person on the mat and not have those anxiety thoughts like, "What am I doing?" or "Who am I?" It's like, no, like this is the shield I put on, and let's go all out and let the emotions come out, and then take the shield off and be Anthony Ashnault again when it's time.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I don't think there's anything wrong with chirping. It's not for everybody. The only thing I'll say about chirping is if you are not that kind of guy, like, and you're just trying to do it because you see like it working for you or it's working for somebody else. You can tell when it's not authentic to that person, and that's when I think it might hurt somebody because they're like, okay, that guy's trying too hard. Like I see it a lot in
Yeah,
the UFC. There's a lot of fighters. You're like, you're not really like that. You're not
yeah,
really that kind of guy who likes to celebrate and stuff. You're just doing it because Connor's doing it or whoever. Um,
yeah.
but for New Jersey, man, it's just real. And I'm an Iowa State fan, Big 12, but I would say for like the Big 10, I love watching what you guys are doing out there, man.
Oh, we appreciate that, man, and we're always looking to pick up some new fans. I see your background. I'm guessing you're from like the Chicago, Illinois area. Just looking at all the Cub stuff in the background there.
Yeah, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, but it's we don't have pro sports teams, so we got to kind of grab the ones that are around us.
Nice, nice, man. But other than that, man, following your show and just reaching out to me, reaching out. Like now, I'm starting my own thing over at
Yeah,
Rockfin, Mobbin Media, and
let's talk about it.
I yeah, I was going to talk about just how I heard your show talking about, you're personally into more folk style. I heard you say,
Yeah, yeah.
and like personally, me too. Like I want to be an Olympic champ, a world champion, and I really believe that it's within my potential. But I'm a folk style guy as well, just raised scholastic, and it took me to like seventh, eighth grade even to try freestyle and Greco-Roman. And I wish I started earlier, but I was just like in that mold. I mean, me and my friends like were wrestling in the grass, folk style, never freestyle. Like we didn't even really watch it growing up before like sixth, seventh grade when I realized maybe when Henry Sudo won the Olympics. But um, I think like you'd be really interested in what we're trying to do, man. We're trying to get a lot of the top youth wrestlers together into one spot and bring them together to events. And we're talking the top 8, top 15 guys at each weight class from eighth grade under. And we're trying to organize them into weight classes where they're competing at. So we could then reach out to them and invite them to events or camps or even tournaments that we're doing. So we could kind of have these all-star matches that we're seeing at the senior level because of COVID and things are shut down right now. We want to give that opportunity to these youth guys that maybe have been struggling the last 6 months. And even after COVID, when COVID's over, we just think it could be a really good environment to bring 20 to 24 of the best youth wrestlers at 2 to 3 weight classes and maybe give them like 2, 3 technique sessions. And then at the end of camp, we like bring in a referee, we bring in a DJ, like a college match, and maybe like cool lights, a run out song. And we give these kids a really cool experience. They have a really good time. And then with the ROKFIN page, we'll give an outlet to maybe put those matches up if we could figure out how to do it live stream or even afterwards, just putting the content out there. And really that's some of the goals. And as well with the page, I want to highlight my own career and maybe give some vlogs of a day in the life of going to Rutgers practice, going to physical therapy, going to Thrive, different rehab places, or just what I'm doing in a good way. We're trying to be creative and we want to make it fun for people following along. And it's exciting, like I said before, and we're really passionate about it.
Yeah, I think all that sounds good. One thing that I really liked in there was the vlog aspect because so many of us fans don't really get to see that unless Flo goes to your guys' um, gym or whatever or training facility. We don't actually get to see that behind the scenes stuff like ever, really. And I don't know if that's
Yeah.
just a wrestling thing or a coach's thing or what, but you're
Well,
seeing a lot of other sports, again, like the NFL. A lot of these guys are starting to get their own like YouTube channels where they're promoting their. I know like Tyreek Hill has his own thing where he promotes like his own workouts behind the scenes. I know Antonio Brown did a little bit, and even in the NBA with the bubble, a lot of those guys are doing that. And I think it's a huge
yeah.
opportunity, especially with things like ROKFIN where you can get paid for it now. So I think all that's great.
Def- Definitely, I've been following the NBA guys, and that was kind of the idea of it. Following some of the younger guys in the NBA going through the bubble doing it. It's exciting. And as a viewer and a fan of theirs and following, I'm like, that's really cool. And the one thing we already really kind of talked about is like something I don't want to do is try to do something that's like not within my personality. And like some
Yeah.
of that stuff might be a little over my head. So it's like really just game planning like how I'm going to go about it and feel comfortable with it. Cause at the end of the day, I want to be an Olympic world champion. I don't want to be the world champion at making vlogs. So it's like I have to figure out a way to be comfortable with showing who I am
Hmm.
and holding a camera all day or parts of my day. And it's just figuring out what's the best way to do it for myself. And also just, write journaling and me being more confident in who I am and just going through those thoughts kind of like any normal person. You have some positive things in your life and negative things in your life. And it's you always trying to turn those negatives into positives. And yeah, I'm just like a normal person, man. I'm not all sunshine and rainbows. There's other things that go on that you got to balance it out.
Yeah. Another thing that I saw that you guys posted about, you guys are getting into the rankings thing. That's like a whole nother, because a lot of people like when they start, like myself included, I started doing this in April, so I haven't even been doing it that long. But you see a lot of people kind of just do like just like a podcast where they just give their opinion. But when it comes to rankings, that takes some real thought and some real researching. So is that something that you always wanted to do, or what?
We wanted to get the best guys together and doing that like as we started like plugging these guys into like the camps we were organizing or the practices we're trying to organize, we started coming across more and more names of kids we never heard of. And we started realizing like, dang, like there's a lot of really good youth wrestlers out there that we don't really know, not just on the East Coast, not just in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And me and my buddy Eliezer DeLuca, who runs a youth club in New Jersey, Bergen area Dragons. We just had the idea, kind of started with him because he wanted to do this tournament called called the Dragon Nationals, which would be kind of that national tournament I was talking about of getting 8 to the 15 best guys in each weight and competing for a national title. But the goal was to organize this database of wrestlers so we could pull those 10 guys, and we could have it easily organized where it's like, okay, like these are the best 12 guys, like let's invite them. Maybe 4 of them will say no, but maybe we could get 8 out of 12 of them. When before we were kind of organizing all these guys into rankings, it was kind of just like, oh, I know this kid Paul Kenny, and you know this kid Joe Schmo.
Right.
Let's get them together and train. And then it's like, as we're just going through the game and we're just learning, we're going like we're not able to be at these tournaments that our kids are wrestling in. So we're starting to look on Track Wrestling at the results. It's like we think these kids are beasts, which they are. All these kids are so talented, but then they go take a loss, and sometimes they're getting major decisions. You're like, dang, that kid's like a stud. He's getting major. Then like that's kind of how it started. Just that snowball effect of like who's beating these kids. Like let's find out these names. Let's make these connections, and then it was just kind of like um, just like a tumbling effect to lead us into let's do these rankings. And then when we were going to release the rankings, of course, like kind of like you hinted at, it's touchy. Ranking eighth grade kids and under, it's a touchy subject. Some people probably don't agree with organizing that, or I don't know, maybe it's morally incorrect in some people's minds. But our goal wasn't to rank these kids just to rank them. Our goal is to have an organization of a database of these wrestlers, so we could then go to them and be like, hey, do you want to come to our showcase with 4 of the other best wrestlers in your weight class, where you could get better and learn from Anthony Ashnault and really good clinicians, and have a really fun day of learning, as well as have a chance to compete maybe at a guy that's at the same level as you. And then we get to showcase it maybe on ROKFIN, or even just showcase it to yourself and prove to yourself that this is the level you're at. And hey, like me as a kid, if I had this, even if I wasn't in the rankings, which a lot of them I weren't, like growing up, I would be pumped. I'd be chasing after those guys. I'd be like, where's this Joey McKenna kid, or like whoever the studs were during my time? Like, where can I find them? What tournament can I go to? I want to prove, even if they don't think, and I think I am, if the person ranking thinks I'm not there, but I think I am, like, I'm going to show them. And if I went 1-1 against maybe a kid ahead of me in the rankings, once I got to high school, like, I didn't expect to be ranked ahead of them. And like I wanted to always run the table. And then there's times you are ranked number one. And in my career, I was ranked number one. And like it was always motivating to me. I was like, I'm gonna smash number two. I got the chance to wrestle number 6 guy this weekend at home. I'm gonna major decision number 6, prove that I'm the number one guy. And I think it's just the mental adjustments athletes have to make. And if they can't make those adjustments and turn those negative thoughts into positive thoughts when looking at the rankings, they should probably either just steer away and not look at those rankings, or like just have someone they could talk to get those positive thoughts, or just reassure themselves and maybe get to a better state of mind about it.
Yeah, I saw that online. You were kind of getting questioned about it a little bit, and then Willie Saylor jumped in and kind of, I think, defended you if I was reading it right. Just saying,
Yeah, I
like,
thought so too. That was nice of him, actually.
if you can't handle it at 14, you might not be able to handle it at 17, which is, I don't know. I was never that was like never really what I did, but I think that rankings mean a lot not only to the fans, but I think we try to act like it doesn't mean a lot to the wrestler, but it does. And like you're saying, it's a good way for these kids to gauge who you're wrestling, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
I think it's helpful. It's beneficial. If you can't handle it, don't look at it.
Yeah.
It's one of those
Yeah, that
things,
it is. It's easier said than done to just not look at it.
right?
And as an athlete right now, I mean, people are like emailing the Mobbin Media Wrestling email and telling us their opinions. And look, you go look at the 65 kilogram rankings at Flow Wrestling. I ain't in them,
Yeah,
and I'm not hitting up Flow, hitting up whoever's doing them. Like I should be in them. Like, of course, I think I should be in them, but it gives me like motivation to prove
right.
the whole country and everyone wrong, and just I use that like as an endless gas tank to dive into maybe at the end of a workout, and those thoughts come in like just I don't know,
That's
just using it as motivation to get better.
That Michael Jordan effect, man. Did you watch that documentary
Yeah.
with him?
Yeah, that was an awesome documentary, man. And
He fed into that.
just
Any little hate that guy got, like there was that one game where there was like 3 critics who predicted they were going to lose that game, and he walked up to every single one of them, just like you with the 10 fingers. He walked over to him and goes, "You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong." Right?
right. Right. And even when I say like there was times I'm number one in the country, even like in college, but you want to have that underdog mentality. And I released a podcast on the Rockfin page, kind of describing and explaining explaining why we released the rankings. And and people think that me and maybe Eleazar didn't think they would be touchy, and we definitely talked about it. There was things like I was like, should we even release them? Maybe we should just save them for ourselves, and just like kind of have them to see like the kids, and just because like we knew that some of the backlash we're getting we were gonna get,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
it is fine though. It's fine because our goal is bigger, and our goal is to affect a lot more lives than just ourselves and our pockets. And of course, that's awesome. But we want to make a positive impact on the wrestling world, on the youth wrestling world, and on our own lives. So we felt like it was the right decision, and we're gonna make them as perfect as we can. We're not, like you said, it takes a lot of research. We're not just picking names out of a hat or picking names out of guys we train. We're doing the research that we have available to us within track wrestling and Flow Arena and different tournament sites. And the best thing about those things, like people are like, you could just go look at the results. You're not there. Yeah, we're not there, but you could watch every single match on track wrestling and almost every match at Flow Arena at this point. Like, you don't just have to see the results. You could actually go in and watch a lot of these matches. And we're doing our diligence and we're doing our best. At the same time, we're welcoming suggestions, and we're not just going to throw your kid in the rankings because you email us, but we're going to look into it. And there's been a lot of cases where your parents email us and we look into it and we're like, yeah, like he belongs, not just because you emailed us, but because he has great wins and not terrible losses. So it's a system that we're going through, and we're tweaking it and making it as perfect as we can be. But let's be honest, rankings are never going to be perfect. Everyone's always going to have an opinion. Everyone's going to always want their son above another kid or whatever it may be. But we're doing our best, and I think it brings a lot of excitement. Like you're saying, it's gossip in the wrestling world, whether it's good or bad.
It's still,
People are talking about it.
yeah. People talk about it. It's all good, man. Let's go to Rutgers wrestling. Nick Soriano's back. He's going 25, correct?
Correct.
Okay, he's going 25. Alvarez 33, 41. Sebastian Rivera.
I hope so, man. But it's just such a weird year, you know. Like there's just rumors within the team, like maybe like Olympic red shirts will be taken, or maybe. But dude, that would be a sick lineup to have Nikki and then Sammy Alvarez, Sebastian Rivera. I think if I would say that's a very strong possibility. If we have somewhat of a normal season, that's a very strong possibility. The only downside of it is Rutgers is known for its atmosphere, and guys like Sebastian Rivera transferred home. He wants to be in that atmosphere. He wants to have 7,000 New Jersey fans building that brand that he has, like we're talking about. Like he came home for some of those reasons, and he could have stayed at Northwestern if he just wanted to wrestle and finish out his career, but he wanted to come home and do something special. So um, I would say if it's a normalish season, yeah, that'll be what it looks like. But if things continue kind of how they are and the schedule's a little limited, I'm not sure what will happen. I think it's still like a day by day thing. But everyone's on campus, everyone's taking COVID test, everyone's in the practice room, like everyone's all hands on deck, ready to go, and they're treating it like they're going to be NCAA champs this year. Those three guys.
I know you're not Nick Soriano, but you're close to him. It was him going 25 a legacy thing? Like, I got to go back and get that Spencer win back, or was that a best for my team thing?
I haven't talked to him about that decision, and Nick's a very special individual in his goals and how he goes about his business. And I think it's both. I think it's not both. I think it's one. He was wrestling 57 kilograms like all year just for freestyle and international, and I think that kind of shrunk him a little bit. That weight class is 125.5. So just making that weight 2 hours before, maybe just he brought his weight down a little bit from that, from 133, what she was wrestling in college. And then he comes into the season, he only looks like he's weighing about 130 to 135 right now. Like, I don't know, I didn't see him on the scale, but it's hard to wrestle 133 when you're weighing out of practice at 130. So I think that's also part of it. And the other thing is, yeah, leave a legacy, beat Spencer Lee and have an everlasting legacy. And that would be really cool. And I'm sure that's on his mind as well. And Coach Goodell said that was part of the reason, but I've yet to talk to Nikki about it still. He's yeah, when he's in the room, man, he's laser focused. He brings the level up. Everyone around him just he's a special individual to be around and have him as a teammate.
Um, okay, so we talked about your background. We talked about Mobbin Media and what you got going on, but you still got your whole That's the difference between you and me. I'm only doing this, man. You got a whole wrestling career still going on, and still pretty dang good. So when will we see you next on the mat?
I actually had a back surgery 5, 6 weeks ago, so it's uh it's a short like recovery time. I go to the doctor this Friday. I should get cleared to kind of return to play. I feel great. So hopefully I'm looking at November, start drilling on the mats again. And dude, it sucked because I had to deny a lot of these all-star matches, and it's given me the outlet and the time to kind of create this Mobbin Media page and kind of launch it and set it up to what it's going to be. But it's been a little depressing and upsetting, and I've been like definitely talking to sports psychologists about just my thoughts about it and where I'm at, just trying to fix my mental space about it. But man, I want to be competing in all these things, and it's hard to say no. It's almost like I want to just suck up how I feel and go compete. Like that's how badly I want to compete. And I had to say no to a lot of really cool things like beat the streets, fighting in the cage, the flow wrestling match, and had to back out. And Jason Nolf texted me yesterday, wanted to wrestle in one of the NLVA Nittany Lion Wrestling Club matches. Just like all these opportunities, it's like I can't take them, so it stinks. But it's turning those thoughts into just positive. Like let's go to work when it's time to go to work. Let's put the work in, and we'll get there. And have trust. And right now, the only focus is really April of 2021. Like, of course, I want to get into these All Star matches when I'm back, but that's really the main focus. Be healthy for April and get yourself on that Olympic team and win the Olympics at 65 kilograms. And it would be great to wrestle in December or wrestle in January, and that would be awesome. And I don't know if you saw Jordan Oliver tweet about maybe doing a 65 kilogram bracket, and we're definitely game planning on the side of those combos, like maybe trying to actually put that into place and implement that plan. But that would be something that I would love to, even if it was just wrestling one of those guys like Oliver, Yanni, or McKenna, or any of those guys at 65 kilograms. Because I'm looking to prove that I'm there and I'm the guy, or I'm one of the guys people should be looking at to be Team USA for the Olympic team. So I, I guess to answer that question, when I'm going to compete again, hopefully December, January, early December into January even.
Okay, so you said a lot of names there. You did not mention Tyler Berger. That's not happening, huh?
No, I mean that I would love for that to happen, but realistically, I walk around right now 150 to 152,
Yeah.
and my weight class is 65 kilograms. Like, yeah, like we could meet in the middle. Like, let's him make 155, and I'll just bulk up for like a week or two, and I could easily get to 155, 156, even 160. But like, it's not where I'm most comfortable. But it doesn't like I would love that match. And the best thing about that match for like one of those cage matches is like it means nothing. We put on a show, we talk some smack. We're both good kids, and like it's funny. We both like each other. Like
Yeah.
like we both respect each other, and we both are kind of very similar. And it just we know what it takes to kind of promote one of those events, and we know what it takes to compete at a high level as well. And I think we both have very similar work ethics. I know he works really hard, and I work really hard, and it would be a show. I think we would like, although we respect and like each other, we both know what each other is capable of. So I think we'd bring another level to the table while we wrestle each other. And it wouldn't be one of those nervous things. I think we'd be both very aggressive and scoring a lot of points, just trying to prove each other wrong.
Right on, man. Well, you got anything else you want to say? Any news you want to break? I'm not Pat Minio, but you can leak anything that you want, right?
Nah, man. I just appreciate you having me on, and the support we have had from Mobbin Media. And you know, I'm looking for suggestions, and I'll just ask you on the show, man. Like you said, the vlogs would be something really cool. What are some other things behind the scene as an athlete, me, that you would like, you or just a normal fan or a kid looking at wrestling trying to become better, or what would they want to see? Would they want to see like what I'm eating for breakfast, what I'm taking for vitamins, a vlog, and then right into like driving to practice and even at practice? What are some of the things that you could think of at the top of your head that would be good suggestions?
I think a couple things that I like is obviously like since I wrestled, I kind of know what a general wrestling practice looks like. So like some of that stuff is cool, but like you said, making breakfast and stuff. I know how stupid that sounds, but like your routine, your national champion is going to be different than a lot of just regular guys, right? And so just your morning routine, stuff like that. What's it like to wrestle like in New Jersey compared to like an Iowa City or an Ames where it's more like, small town country
Yeah.
feel? What's it like wrestling there? Like traffic, you know,
Yeah.
just that kind of stuff. You know, when you go to Rutgers, what are you going to deal with?
Yeah.
And then I know that you have your podcast with Goody, right? You do something, a show with Goody.
We
Um,
do. It's gotten stale a little bit, I guess. Stalemate.
yeah,
It's
that's
gotten it's gotten stale a little bit
yeah,
recently. Just with COVID, he's dealing as a head coach. You deal with a lot of things other than just wrestling,
yeah,
and sometimes it's hard for him to come on the show and be as open as he wants to be.
yeah.
And it's no disrespect to our viewers and our fans, but for him right now, it might just be better to just take some time off and figure the situations out as they're the world for him is changing every week. On Monday of this week, the rules might be different from Monday next week, and it's just been causing him maybe some extra issues. And I think we're just going to steer away from it for now. Right now, I'd love to put that show back on and even get it on ROKFIN. So I'm hoping to get back to normal with Coach Goodell. We usually do that show every Friday at 12 p.m. So we're looking to get back at on that schedule, but I'm also looking to do a podcast on Rockfin, just a normal one, just a Mobbin Media podcast. We released episode 1, just kind of saying who we are, what we're trying to do, and we're gonna have some really high level people come on to discuss youth wrestling, discuss senior level wrestling, what it takes to be successful. And another question I wanted to ask you: what do you think would be more influential to post? Because I want to do some motivational things, and I wanted to do like articles, kind of like how like turning a journal article into more of a professional article. And I released one of them, but I was wondering, do you think it would be more influential to release that in a video form and talking through it, or do you think people do take the time to maybe read a 5 to 10 minute article?
So we mess around with articles a little bit, and I think it's, again, I've only been doing this for 6 months, but in my personal opinion, there are some people who just are not good on camera. Like you hit record and then all of a sudden they're like Bambi on ice a little bit. Like they just can't get their thoughts together and stuff like that. And so I think that you're good on camera. You're totally fine. This was a super easy interview to do. Um, so I think you'd be good on camera, but then there's a flip side where like you have, when from the audience perspective, where if a guy is sitting at his desk, he might not be able to put headphones in and watch your 10-minute video, where he could easily just kind of click on that article and read it quietly, you know? And so I think it depends. With my videos, I try to keep them somewhat shorter. Just kind of depends on the interview, but the shorter the video, the more views you can get, because somebody might click a video and they'll see like, oh, an hour and 45 minutes. I don't know if I can listen to Anthony National talk about whatever for
Oh
an
yeah,
hour and 45 minutes. But if it was an article, you know, they can just kind of scroll through that pretty quickly. So it just kind of depends. Like me personally, I don't think I'm that good of a writer, and I think I'm a lot better on camera, where I can kind of be a goofball and do the stupid stuff that I do. So it just depends. I think you're really good on camera. One thing that I think would be really cool is, in the NBA, there's the All the Smoke podcast, right?
right.
I think it's
Yo,
something like
that's
that.
funny. That's my representation. Malka Media does that podcast. And that's my sports representation.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
so that podcast actually is super interesting, because a lot of times when these athletes do interviews, it's a media guy and the athlete, where that is athlete and athlete. And so you being the athlete, you know kind of the questions to ask, right? Because and you kind of know more like what these guys don't want to be asked, or what they want to be asked, but nobody ever asked that question. And so we kind of get that side of it. For wrestling, which I don't know. I've in the very beginning, I used to say like, oh, all this other wrestling media is boring and nobody does anything. But the more that I do that, the more that I realize there are a lot of podcasts and stuff out there. But I think it might be really interesting coming from you. You know,
Yeah.
there
Do you
are a
do
lot
you
of
think
people
that
that
would be
go ahead.
do you think that would be more beneficial on camera? Because like the Rockfin platform, it's kind of like when you release the podcast, it's like only audio to make it a podcast. Like, you think it would be better, more beneficial to get either like what we're doing virtually, a Zoom video of it, or even if I had the person with me sitting down next to me?
Um, it de- it depends. So like for me, I like to have like high quality. I have like this camera right here. I like to have that high quality stuff, and then have like my edits where I'll throw in like a stupid clip from a movie and stuff like that. But I feel like I need that because I am not like an expert in wrestling per se. So like if you don't need it, you don't need it. I kind of feel like I need it in a way because it keeps people entertained. And that's like a compliment that I get quite often. I think that you got to do anything to separate yourself from other podcasts, right? So, how many other podcasters are out there have just the audio? A ton of them, right? So, then you go to the next level. How many other podcasts out there? It's like a Zoom call or a Skype call. There's a lot of them, right? So, then how
Hmm.
can you separate yourself? So, I'm actually getting ready to do an in-person camera interview at the end of the week. I can tell you about it off camera, but that's going to be like in person, sitting down on a couch like it's 60 minutes. Like it's going to be,
That's cool. That's cool. That's
yeah,
eventually like obviously we like you can't just fast forward and get to that
right,
point. But yeah, like one day when I'm done wrestling and I want to blow this thing up, like that would be sweet. Have a studio, have like a
yeah.
sit down area. But
So like
that's just not where I'm at.
with you though, I can't be in New Jersey right now. So we're doing Zoom.
Right.
I'm gonna edit it and make it look cool. I got this camera. I'm gonna throw in different slides and stuff like that. You know, once I really chop it up, but you got to do what you can. Now, if you're in New Jersey and you're going to interview Nick Suriano or you're going to interview even Pat Mini or anything like that,
Yeah. There's power that they're with me and to sit next to me. That's power right there.
it's so much more entertaining for me because there's so many Zoom interviews out there, right? But if you're sitting next to them, there's just that whole nother dynamic, just like all the smoke
Yeah.
and other podcasts where they're actually in studio. Even with Rogan nowadays, like Rogan is in the studio. It's a lot more entertaining than when he does like a Zoom call or a Skype thing. So I think
What kind let me ask you this last question. I don't want to keep you all day.
no,
You're
you're good.
saying that the shorter video, the better. I'm asking questions on your podcast. Not bad. But what kind of camera are you using for the podcast?
I use a Panasonic GH5 with a 12 35 millimeter lens. I don't know. I don't know anything about technical stuff. I just like I just look it up and then if I like it, I will just buy it and just figure out how to use it in its most simplest form. But like I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not like I get questions a lot about my camera because it's good. But my suggestion to you would be to use those resources at Rutgers or whoever you have around you that is good at that, and have them kind of help you out. You know what?
Yeah, yeah.
And
No, I've definitely that's the thing about this page. I'll leave it at that. Like it's definitely me and my name and my brand, but I've delegated the work and I have a cousin that's helping me a lot with, you know, of course I'm doing a lot of the rankings, but like I have a cousin and he's in high school, but he's putting the Excel sheets together and then posting them on the site. Like, yeah, they're mine. But I have a lot of help in delegating and I think I need to do a better job of letting go a little bit in some areas and maybe like reaching out for help and things like that and not trying to do it all on my own. But
that's a
I
what
appreciate your knowledge, man.
Yeah, you bet. And if you ever need anything, I'll give you my number when we're done here. But one last thing is like sticking to what you're good at, right? So like me, nobody's gonna take advice from me on how to do like a misdirection low single, you know, because they're like, who the heck is this guy, right? So what I'm good at is being a fan. So what I'm good at is knowing what's entertaining or what these fans want to hear someone say. You know, as long as it's my real opinion, I'm not gonna say something just because I know like that's what people are saying or whatever. Like it's
Right.
got to be my real opinion, otherwise I don't think it comes off authentic. But for you, if you're not good at writing articles, then don't. Or if you are really good at writing articles, then do that. Or if you're, if you're really good at um if you're really good at like technique stuff, stick with that. Or if you don't like doing that, like do what you're good at instead of trying to do it all. Because like for me, I'm not a freestyle guy, so I'm not gonna have you on my show and pretend like I know, that I'm looking up freaking Full Deek or whatever that website is, trying to break down different freestyle matchups and this and that. Like that's not who I am. I love college wrestling. I love folk style wrestling. I get a little bit into the high school stuff, like the top level guys, but that's what I do. So when the college season comes around, that's what I'm into. But freestyle, I'll leave that to the guys who are much smarter than me at that. So
Yeah, and that's the other thing about this, man. I'm not the smartest, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to do my best and put in the effort, and I'm definitely passionate about it, and I'll continue to let that shine. But yeah, I'm willing to learn, man, and just because you don't know maybe as many wrestling moves as me, doesn't mean I can't learn something within the wrestling world from you. And I've taken a lot out of just like whatever how many minutes we talked, but there's things that I'm taking from you, and obviously an opinion of a fan means a lot to me. So
yeah,
I'm probably going to be reaching out to you, honestly, running things by, maybe asking you like, what do you think about this? What do you think about
yeah,
that? And I think it's important for us as athletes to connect maybe with people like you and um, just share our opinions because it's going to help other people grow. It's going to help younger athletes grow. It's going to give them more clarity and maybe where and when they want to go do things or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Stay on air real quick. I'm gonna wrap this video up, and then I'm gonna tell you some other stuff. But
Cool.
hope you guys like this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. What's your Twitter handle?
Anthony Ashnault, Twitter, Mobbin Media
Mobbin Media on ROKFIN.
as well. We created everything last night as well. So if you want to look up Mobbin Media on Twitter or Instagram, we're on there as well. And there's going to be a differentiation.
Yeah.
Tough pronouncing that word for me. But from my Mobbin Media page to myself, like, I still want to be a regular person, and the Mobbin Media is going to be promoting a lot of you wrestling and promoting a lot of my own wrestling when my regular page is going to be me, who I am as a person. And of course, I'm going to do some blogs and behind the scenes on Mobbin Media, but it's important to me to keep those things separate so I could have kind of a normal, not that I'm freaking famous because I'm not, but like, just in my head more, staying away from some of those thoughts, it helps me to keep those separate. So
Yeah.
I'd appreciate it if you follow both, appreciate it if you follow one. If you don't want to follow either, it's all good too.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for watching, everybody.